Guillaume Lambert, Mayor, Advisor to the Secretary General and Head of the National Secure Communications Program in France, leader at ACMOSS. At the head of the French national program, Guillaume is leading an essential infrastructure transformation for the country, the implementation of a secure and dedicated mobile network capable of meeting the communication needs of security forces, emergency services, civil defense, and other critical state entities. At ACMOSS, its work is focused on the convergence between public policies and advanced technological solutions, promoting the development of reliable platforms for critical missions in challenging contexts, such as natural disasters, large-scale operations, and security incidents. Recognized for his ability to connect government, industry, and society, Guillaume Lambert has made a decisive contribution to the modernization of public management and the creation of a robust technological base for the protection of the French population.
So interview number 5, Guillaume, Mobile World Congress Day 1. So what are you going to tell me?
Okay.
And then we can start in the beginning.
Bianca,
We flow. It's all
yeah,
good.
we flow. Okay, it's a pleasure to be here, in Barcelona with you and to speak about a little about the RF project, the Réseau Radio du Futur. And as you may know, we are a government operator based in France. And our mission is to deliver the public safety in France with critical communication based on LTE platform solution.
So let's break that down. So today you currently do one of the hardest jobs out there. How do you keep public communication safe? What do you do for people out there that don't know a little bit about this government entity?
Yeah, every policeman or firefighter or EMS services needs a radio, to achieve its mission, and because it is critical for them to have the ability to communicate in any time, any place. So far, the radio solution they are equipped with are based on narrowband solution.
Okay.
That's quite an old technology, tetrapole solution. In France, we have this kind of deployment that exists for the last 30 years. And our goal is to replace this existing deployment with, the cutting edge technology based on these LTE platforms. So we project the public safety communication to the era of broadband. And so we make use of 4G and 5G networks to deliver this communication. And the radio solution takes the aspect of an application within a smartphone we call an M6 solution, a mission critical push to X solution. So basically we are an operator, and our model is a full MVNO, so full mobile network virtual operator. And we operate our core network, and we connect this core network to the radio access network of different carriers. In France, we have 4 main nationwide carriers: Orange, Bouygues Telecom, SFR, and Free Mobile. And so we give the ability to our end users to connect to any of these networks and to access the RRF solution.
So this is a big statement, bringing France and the entire mobile operating world to the new age of broadband and broadcast. And you're doing this in a collaborative way with multiple players in the industry. So tell me a little bit more about the LV platform. Double down on that and explain to people out there a little bit about what is the approach and what is this cutting edge technology.
We have to handle all the technology, ourselves, as a government operator. So we operate the core network. The first component we built up, for the last 2 years was to develop this 4G, 5G core network within our premises, in France, in the data centers of the French Ministry of Interior. So we build up this 4G, 5G core network, then we connect it to the carriers. We contract with Orange and Bouygues Telecom. And on the top of it, we deploy an M6 mission critical push to X application server that is connected to the core network. And because it allows to provide the end users with a dedicated quality of service. That means that when you use this smartphone with our SIM card and with this M6 application solution, you have particular, bearer that links you to the network and provide you with a dedicated quality of service. It guarantees a high level of service because you have minimum bit rate guaranteed through that solution, And so that's mainly what we achieved for 2 years, and we are, in weeks we will open the solution to the first responder in the south part of France.
Congratulations.
Thank
2
you.
years, a
Thank you.
government project, bringing in completely different waves of technology,
Yeah.
different languages of technology, different interests, different teams under the Minister of Interior, if I got that right,
Yeah.
which is not a small task. So today you're rolling that out in the south of France. Who and how these first responders, we live in a world of chaos. I think security and understanding that, as you said, the firefighter out there can operate. That's why we invented messaging. Like, guys, be a bit more than just endlessly scrolling through the internet. So this is what we're talking about. We're talking about technology bringing
Exactly.
safety to people, bringing safety to infrastructure, what the government's here for. What are some of the implementations and what can we expect to see change in France? And, you're here at Mobile World Congress. I want to hear a little bit more about what you're here to share with them as well.
Yeah, the main change we expect from that, implementation is the ability to share a lot of data, for first responder in the field and to command and control rooms. Since we make use of broadband networks, we can share a lot more data than we could with narrowband networks. So we give them access to the advanced services such like video streaming, geolocation, real-time messaging, and it is an omni-channel multimedia solution, fully encrypted end-to-end, so with a lot of security and a lot of robustness, since we give them access to the full coverage available in France. So you have the really the the tools that we put at their disposal will give them this capacity to connect in any place in France and to share information with one another, especially when you have this multi-services operation. You have also this very easy capacity to exchange data from one another because you use the same application tools. So we provide them with this toolbox, and so we hope it will improve the way they achieve their day-to-day operation, and eventually it will change and increase the level of service toward the population, who are the main end users of our solution.
Totally. And I think we've heard, and I want to touch down on something you mentioned. When you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
If you're looking over. And you mentioned data. And data to me is at the core of any previous buzzword bingo, like AI. Garbage in, garbage out. I'm in math, that's my background. So when I hear somebody talk about an understanding, when you talk about first responder data, you're talking about something that could change the life of somebody, that could save a motor vehicle accident, that could transform how, and we've heard, more dollars than you and I can count on this interview gone into new electronic medical records, new systems of operating, but nothing seems to ever talk to each other. And now we're certainly saying, wait a minute, there's a layer called communication. There's a layer called data transfer. There's much more than just me having availability to play a game on my phone that can be used with how we use these intelligent pipes. So you talked about this is transformational. So how has been this work with all these data science departments? How are you looking at this becoming a catalyst, if I understood that right, like a channel in which you can start to say, okay, actually, are we being intelligent about how we're sharing information across government services? Are we serving our population, our people better? Are we authenticating that the information is coming from a place that is an actual data leak, not a swamp, not a messy place? Is that a bit of what I'm hearing that transformation come to effect?
Yeah, I agree with you, Bianca. We building this network, this broadband network. We've created the first layer, the platform on which big data, AI can be built up, afterwards. That's the first main component. Yeah, you have to provide them with broadband, and broadband give you access to a large amount of data. The ability to share this data, to collect this data, and on the top of it, you need an AI, to handle so much data. So that's where AI, come to the game, and for us, we see a lot of application of AI in different realms. Of course, for the end users, the ability to put some intelligence in the video stream, in the different kind of data we collect. But for the mobile network operator that we also can make use, efficient use of AI in when monitoring the systems to detect, at early stage some, failures, and to avoid these failures to disrupt the service we provide, because we need continuity with this service, because they have to have continuous connectivity to the network. And so there are so many different realms where we can make use of, of tech for good, and of AI. Yeah.
Yeah, having like in a world where we swim in software, right? Like we all know how many tenders, how many different, and we use such little of application. And you talked about building this application layer. You wanted to ask him a question?
No, I wanted to talk about
Yeah.
situational awareness.
Sorry.
There we go. I was like, my situational awareness of you on my
I'm good.
corner.
Yes,
And then we give him a minute to breathe. Go.
Okay, thank you.
Because I thought
There's some
about,
water there.
5G brings
Thank you,
helps.
Bianca.
You're most welcome.
5G brings video capacity.
Mhm.
Like the technology help to provide video stream thanks to 5G.
Yep.
And then when you had AI services with the 5G and the videos, you can do some situational awareness.
Yeah.
And you can provide that information to public safety users.
And
So
and for instance, during the Olympics,
Mhm.
we have this special authorization to use AI for facial recognition.
Mhm.
And it was mandatory, because
Yeah.
we have so many data coming up from the ground to this command and control room we have everywhere, to monitor the way the Olympics were handled day after day.
Yeah.
And without AI capabilities, it was just impossible.
It's just impossible to process the
just
data, right? Like
impossible,
there's so many desks and things that
yeah.
you can do, exception monitoring, all that stuff.
Yeah, and so that's a challenge, because since you access this new technology, you have to get used to the a new toolbox, and AI is one of the main tools within this toolbox.
Mhm.
But you have to fully understand the implication of these new technologies, especially as far as security is concerned, because you have to control the technology, you have to understand how it works. And so that's one of the reason we try to have some meetings here at Mobile World Congress, to have this assessment of the latest trends in that kind of technology, and as well, how can we imagine new solution, new add-on to our to the services we provide to our end users, but also in the security aspect of the of this technology. what should we expect from AI? What will it change? And how could we handle, these this new aspect of mobile networks?
I think when you talked about broadband coming into play, I got really excited about you connecting these things to something that all of us at home would be so comfortable with, video streaming. From huge platforms to like, I don't know, just calling your friend.
Mm,
We all use this all the time. But it's really crazy to think that in large scale, at always availability, first responders sometimes don't have access, don't have big budgets, big cities don't have big cool equipment, but somehow everybody has a phone. So we're talking about here changing the way that public service can actually do their job. And this brings a lot of opportunities and a lot of threats. And I thought it was really cool that you brought up security.
yeah.
With AI, we talk about interesting things in video, but we also know that there is enough videos to go around of many public figures that are AI generated. So how are you working here not only to find out new security solutions, but how do you as a government keep track of building this platform with, making sure that you are using the latest and greatest technology to serve the best good of society, but you're also staying secure? Like, this is no easy job.
It is not, you put your finger on the hardest part,
We try to do that here.
yeah, of this new technology, because we have to be very cautious when using, such technology, and so but we believe that we don't have to be afraid of this technology, but to manage it in a proper way. So that's one of the reasons we're here, to have this meeting and to understand the implication. For instance, this afternoon we were, at the Samsung's conference, presenting his new Samsung Knox suite with a lot of AI and this partnership between Google and Samsung,
Yeah.
creating a very integrating solution. In your smartphone, in your hand, you have access to so many data and the intelligence, on top of it, to have the to make you more efficient, more productive,
Totally.
yeah, that's impressive. But at the same time, we ask ourselves, how does it work?
Yeah. We got to ask,
And yeah,
how does it work?
how does it work?
Who controls it? Who takes
Exactly,
care of it? Who's the
exactly.
guardian of all this stuff? Yeah.
And of course, the people from Samsung, they give guarantees. The data are not, used for
XYZ.
AI
Yeah.
training and so on. But how can we show that? What are the real guarantees they can provide us with? That's the kind of question we like to have answers.
And I think those are questions that are really valid. I don't think there's a public leader out there that I outrageously would say has the answers. Like, there are no answers. Like, today we have intelligence having more understandings of physics than Einstein once had. Like, we have the responsibility, I think, as you said, to ask the right questions and be saying, how do I prudently use this technology to protect people, to protect and not be afraid? I think that that's like, we often ask the question about doomsday, right? Doomsday does the news versus what can look like collaboration.
Yeah, and how you combine that with privacy, because, for instance, I just, told you about the Olympics and the use we make of AI for facial recognition. But in France, people were against the use of facial recognition,
Mm-hmm.
and it was because of the importance of that event,
Yeah.
and the large, crowd we welcome in France during the game, that we were authorized to make use of that technology. But it was a special occasion. Now the debate is, do we keep using this technology now the games are over? And how we manage to to keep that technology live with a privacy
Designed into
design.
it. Yeah.
Exactly, so
It's a real hard challenge. And it's a challenge that I often tell people, like, I don't know about you, but like, do an exercise. Like, our notion of privacy is so disrupt. Like, most people out there think that because my photo on WhatsApp and maybe my photo on LinkedIn are different, I'm a different person over here. Only my friends see this over there. We all know, working in technology, But that's no longer true. Your face is everywhere, your information is everywhere. So when I look at a government body looking and saying, how do I use this technology for safety? I think it gives you a lot of solutions in looking at cryptography. You brought it up earlier. You guys looked in and said, how does this, cryptographed or hash from beginning to the end? How do you have exchange of conversation and data that is perhaps health data, perhaps natural disaster data, public safety data? I think that this discussion needs to shift from, oh, does the government have my face? My dear darling, everybody has your face, to how is the data being used? How is it being treated? And what is the purpose? And who is and what are the alternatives? Because you said it yourself, there's lots of alternatives. There are devices, there are SIM cards, there are hardware. There's ways out there. And I know you guys are working on some interesting things in this space.
Yeah, but it's not, an easy question. So there are so many things to tackle, at the same time. Of course, we have first, we have to be fully compliant with GDPR and all these regulations. So, because, of course, people share their data
Everywhere.
everywhere, and they don't think about it. But when it comes to the government, and especially to law enforcement,
They'll remember.
People expect that you make the right use of this data, and you are not pushing the limits too far. So the first thing for us is to convince the people that they can trust us when we use, that kind of
their information or any information.
Any information, but especially when we collect a lot of data, and we use some AI technology on these data. So the first thing is how we can demonstrate that they can trust us, that there is no misuse of this data. And the second aspect of this so difficult question you ask us is how we protect the data from undesired
actors or bad actors out there.
Bad actors. And so we have to give some security guarantees. When we host and store this data, it has to be encrypted, it has to be hosted in particular places, with a high level of protection. So that's and of course we work on that part of of these problems. For instance, we collect some health data because all customers or end users are EMS, emergency medical services, and as soon as they have operation and they provide some medical help to people in the ground, they collect health data. And
super important information.
And so we do have to give guarantee of these people that when collecting health data, this data will be protected, and we won't have any security breach from
from all your channels, from any of this being exchanged. There's a lot of areas here.
And so that's the reason why we are working hard on how to secure the data, how to encrypt them with the right level of encryption, with the kind of the right technology as well. For instance, this morning we heard a roundtable about the impact of quantum computing.
We're interviewing a few of the quantum computer leaders here at the Mobile World Congress, and it's mind-blowing when you start to realize the keys that you put in the locks, and they're like, we walk through walls, and you're like, oh god.
and we have to fully understand, what are the risks. When do we have to evolve toward, this post-quantum technology and
when
algorithm?
do you have a crystal ball? Do we have a crystal ball prediction?
No, I don't have a crystal ball. But
is it part of your guys' plans? Like right now, you're bringing this to the market. You're starting with the South of France, but is it part of the active roadmap of the government to understand how the platform evolves in its cryptography and its sort of?
Yeah. it is part of our business, yes, of course, because we do have this VPN system everywhere. We have to
You sound like you love them. Like most people
yeah.
love VPN systems, like headaches of, we've built so many walls and so many things around our digital world that it's an intriguing
Security
one.
is a different level of the network,
Yeah.
and so to ensure this fully secure communication, do we need to change right now the technology, which is classical encryption, based on AES 128 or 256, or for post-quantum technology, and when and
And when?
how, and yeah. So that's a question we are asking ourselves right now.
That's amazing. How do you, for the people out there that are just looking and saying, how did he get his job? Like, how does he work in this place? Like, for the people aspiring in the industry that maybe look at what you've accomplished and the leader that you are in this space, what maybe advice or, sharing part of your story you might have with them that
Yeah,
led you to be here, to be having this such important role and responsibility as well on bringing such a project with people, with the team, but to life?
yeah. You have to put the end users at the very center of this project. When
Okay.
my life, my career was first in the military. I was a Navy officer, and then I was a civil servant. Working for the Ministry of Interior for almost 20 years, and during all this career, I was on in the field, in the operation, and and with the with this um, main focused on how can we be more efficient in this different kind of operation achieved for the public. And so the way I lead the RF project is to put the end users at the very center of this project. So we have this user-centric approach from the start.
Mhm.
When writing the contract and the RFI, RFQ, and then we are weeks of delivering the solution, and the end user are still at the center of the project because we need their feedback, and all these solution we build up for years is for them.
Yeah,
So we have to check that the
they're your
solution is in
shareholders.
line with their expectation, and yeah.
So your attitude has had centered in being there and in it. And what do you expect from this industry to change? This is your second year here. You've seen and led, it's no small feat bringing that many telecommunication companies together to play nice. So my hat's off to you on that.
Thank you.
We won't go there because that will bring, trauma. So, what do you leave us with?
I don't know, because public safety is a small vertical at the Mobile World Congress, and for this
But
big
second
industry,
important reason
it
for
is
us
an
to
important
exist.
one. Yeah, of course, but that's just one question. We have this dedicated event called Critical Communication World, and
Okay.
one of these questions is since we use LT platform to provide public safety communication, do we need to merge this critical communication world with Mobile World Congress to have a larger place here, in Barcelona? And so the idea is that the different providers pay a bit more attention to us,
I
maybe
think
in the
that
future.
I think so. So the future that we hope is that there's a little bit more consciousness in the importance of the role that they bring.
Mm,
That our phones are a bit here more than to just get us addicted to games or showing internet. That telecommunication has a responsibility of safety, and these tools are here for the people and hopefully for the planet.
but the some of the carriers and the providers are aware of that. The notion of tech for good is important for some of them, and so we count on that.
I count on that, and we're going to hold them accountable.
Okay.
So that's a bit of what we do here. So thank you so much, Guillaume.
Thank you,
For
Bianca.
anybody out there interested, we'll put all down the show notes, the stories about the projects, the companies involved, and where you can find this in the south of France and hopefully in many more places in the world.
Thank
Thank you
you
so much.
Thank you.